With an Intel AI PC, AI assistants help save you time and time again. Now,
Over Over the last couple months, Souls RNG has managed to lose over 120,000 concurrent players, but how and why is this happening? In today's video, I'm going to go over everything that has happened in Souls RNG over the last couple months and then explain the reason for this massive decrease in player count. I'm also going to suggest some solutions to the issues that I bring up in this video, that way the video still contributes positively to the game and and its community. And with that, the very first issue that needs to be addressed is the update schedule. This issue alone has been one of, if not the biggest contributors to the decrease in player count recently. The game heavily relies on the demand for new and rare auras, and once a player finally rolls one of their favorite auras, they lose a large part of the reason why they were even grinding the game in the first place. And it doesn't help that the eras are so drastically spread apart. Era 7 released on May 10th, which resulted in the game's peak concurrent player count of 154,000 concurrent players. The game did not receive a single new content update for nearly 2 months, with Era 8 just releasing 51 days later on June 30th. This caused a large majority of the hype to die down, resulting in a loss of 40,000 concurrent players between the two updates. Then came one of Souls RNG's biggest mistakes: the 0.5 update. They introduced Era 8.5 just 33 days later, which while at first was well received, resulted in many disappointed players in their lowest player count of all time of 34,000 concurrent players, an insane 120,000 player decrease since the release of Era 7. This is also part of why many of the older players were upset about Era 9. After waiting over a month for the next era, Era 9 was released with less than half of the content that we were initially promised. The update brought 12 new auras, 2 new gears, and a new biome. And on top of all that, they decided to nerf the biome randomizer for some reason. Now here's our problem with this. I've been developing on Roblox for a couple of years now, and I can very confidently say that this update should not have taken any more than a week to complete, with just only one person working on the update. And their team consists of 10 developers. Now in terms of solutions for this issue, I do not think that the answer is to hire more developers, because if they can't work efficiently with 10 developers, then that is just simply not the issue. I think the very first thing that they need to address is the teamwork in the team, because if there's any inactive developers holding the team back, then those people need to be removed from the team. And listen, I'm not entirely against the ideas of eras taking 1 or 2 months to release, because if they did come out every other week, then they just wouldn't be special anymore. However, I do think that the eras should focus on bringing in a lot more auras. 10 to 25 new rare auras each era would be way more than enough to keep people engaged. In between the release of new eras, I think a really good way to keep players engaged is to add a new global aura every single week, and that way players won't get uninterested quickly and leave. And one final thing that I have to say about the update schedule, I really do not think that developers should be spending so much time on updates like PvP or boss raids. Because don't forget, the whole premise of the game is to collect rare auras. I honestly think that the community would be much happier with more auras rather than just additional PvP mechanics. But moving on, the next issue that I want to address is the lack of communication from the developers. Now this issue sort of ties into the update schedule issue, but this is important in its own way. The problem is the community rarely gets any information from the developers about upcoming updates, and when we do, the communication is poorly worded or is in regards to an update that is coming way later in the future. For example, the developers gave out multiple sneak peeks for Era 9.5 before Era 9 was even finished. This is part of the reason why so many people were upset about Era 9, because people expected 9.5 content to be included in Era 9. Now the solution to this is extremely straightforward. The developers should just create some form of roadmap that gives details of upcoming updates along with an estimated release date. On top of this, the developers should also let the community know whenever there needs to be a delay on an update, that way the players aren't just left in the dark about development progress. If those two issues can be fixed, then I have no doubt that Souls RNG can easily regain the hundreds of thousands of players that it once had. But until then, I'm going to move on and start making other content on other Roblox games, so please double check if you're subscribed so that you don't miss any of my...
Welcome to Shopify Plus, the only cost-effective enterprise commerce platform that's pushing the world's largest brands to new levels. The right commerce platform is just...
I used to be cooked in Souls RNG, but after 100 days, that's finally changed. I've somehow managed to pull an insane amount of globals. And so in today's video, I'm going to show you guys everything that I've managed to get so far, and then I'm going to be sharing my opinions on each of the auras. Also, please check if you're subscribed, because at 50,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away another 10,000 Robux. The channel has been growing an insane amount recently, and I'm incredibly thankful for all the support. But anyways, on to the video. Now the first aura in my collection is Common, which is, in my opinion, still one of the best auras because it's just so basic. Souls RNG doesn't have an unequip function, so this aura is extremely useful. Exotic is one of the most important auras in the game because it's used to craft Heavenly Potion 2s, but aside from that, in today's time, it has a pretty low standard compared to other auras. And there still hasn't been a single whitelisted exotic rework, so there's pretty much no hope for this aura. Aura at the moment. Now for the summer event item, I'm not really a big fan of these. Era 8.5 was a huge letdown for me because it just felt extremely lazily made. Come on, man, what is this? Look, I get that it's supposed to be a meme aura, but what is this cutscene? Now, like Exotic, Celestial is used to craft heavily potions, but I think it is still lacking in today. Standards. But look at this whitelist, it looks so good. I honestly hope it gets added in Era 9.5. Now the next aura in my collection is Arcing, which I honestly really don't think needs a rework. It's somewhat unique in the fact that it has the ability to teleport, but the other two Arcing skins can teleport faster, making this default one effectively useless. Now I think Magnetic Reverse Polarity is currently the worst aura in Souls RNG, but there is a whitelisted rework which I really hope comes out in Era 9.5 that just looks incredible. It is so much better than the current Magnetic Reverse Polarity, it's insane. There are so many issues with the current reverse polarity, and one of the biggest things that I noticed recently is that the floor literally clips in with the actual floor. Now up next is the Astral Aura, which in my opinion is one of the most underrated auras in the entire game. I think it's super cool that the black hole stays in one place, and the VFX are super consistent, which I really like. And for the Unbound Aura, it has really cool emotes that are really not seen in any other aura. Now the one thing I will say about this aura is I haven't really seen anybody pull this recently, so let me know in the comments if this is still possible to obtain. Now Gravitational is one of my favorite 1 in a million auras, and it's kind of sad to see that most people don't even wear it anymore, but I think that this aura should have been a rework of Gravitational instead of it being its own aura. Now Virtual used to look garbage, but thanks to Super Wi-Fi and a couple other great creators, they managed to make the aura look insanely good for it just being only 1 in 2.5 million. And the same thing goes for Aquatic Flame. Like, this aura used to look terrible before the rework. Now Poseidon is also one of my favorite auras in the game just because the VFX look insane. insane on it, but I know a lot of people don't like this aura now because of this quest right here. Usually the animations are some of the cleanest in the entire game, but my biggest problem with it is that the VFX looks super rushed on it. It's also extremely hard to aim the ability when you're trying to PvP. Now the next aura I have is Galaxy, and my only complaint with it is that it's extremely bright and the body aura looks pretty bad. But other than that, it is one of my favorite auras in the entire game. And for the final aura I have before I move on to the 1 in 10 millions, I have Celestial Divine. I just got this aura pretty recently and it is incredibly well made. I think this could have easily been a 1 in 70 million, but they decided to make it fairly common instead. But now for the 1 in 10 million auras. Now the first 1 in 10 million aura that I have is Star Scourge, and while I do think it is one of the worst auras in the entire game, I've managed to convince one of the developers to actually add a rework coming in Era 9. I'm pretty sure this is the rework that I sent him and it just looks absolutely insane. Now next I have Sailor, and Sailor was one of those auras that I wanted so badly when it first came out. The really cool thing about this aura is that it's animated in a very unique way. Like this aura is one of the only ones that have like an 8-bit style to it. Now in my opinion, Sailor is my favorite 1 in 10 million aura, but let me know in the comments what yours is. The next aura I have is Hurricane, and although it doesn't say it, it's actually a mutation of Stormal. A bunch of my friends said they struggled to get one of these, but I've managed to get like 5 of them so far. I'm not a big fan of this aura, and the only reason why is because of how common it is. Like, I'd understand its size if it was 1 in 135 million, but for its rarity, just too many people can cover lobbies with it. For Arcane Legacy, my opinion is kind of the same as normal Arcane. It's cool and all, but Arcane Dark is faster and better, so I don't really understand the point of this one. For Chromatic, I've kind of said this about it in the past. I really don't think it needs a rework because it's in Soul style. Like, it honestly fits the game so well. I think this also might have been my first 1 in 10 million, so it's kind of biased, but let me know what you guys think. Now up next is Arcane Dark, which is my favorite Arcane mutation. A cool fact about this aura is that when it first came out, it used to be all black instead of purple, and when you teleport, you can see that they forgot to change the VFX, so the portals are still pitch black. Now up next is Ethereal. I have a bunch of mixed opinions of this aura because the first phase is really low quality compared to other auras of its rarity, but the second phase looks extremely good and I can't really hate on it. Now some of you guys may disagree with me, but between Exotic Apex and Matrix, I have to pick Exotic Apex. It is easily my favorite 1 in 50 million aura, like there's nothing else better than it. There's been quite a few reworks suggested for this aura, but I don't think it needs it. I've also managed to get Matrix, but I really don't like it only because I got it from an Oblivion potion, meaning that it would have been a 50% chance for me to either get Memory or Matrix. I really don't have a lot to say about this aura. I mean, the VFX are actually really nice on it compared to other auras, but I'm still kind of disappointed about that loss. Now for the final 1 in 50 million aura before I move on to the globals, I have Flying Dutchman. Before the rework, this used to be one of my favorite auras of all time, but now the new rework completely ruined it and I haven't actually worn it since. The candles are completely broken on it too. Like this aura has so many issues now. But now on to the 1 in 100 millions.
Opera GX is one of the best browsers that I've ever used, and not only does it have some really helpful features, but it has some really fun features too. Opera GX is a
Now for the first 1 in 100 million that I have in my collection, I have Chromatic Genesis, which used to be one of my favorite auras in the entire game, but I've somehow managed to get 4 of them since then, and now I just do not like this aura at all. And for some reason, they decided to give this aura one of the best abilities in the entire game. But visually, I still really like this aura, so in my opinion, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Now my second global is Star Scourge Radiant, and there's been a few suggested reworks for this, but in my opinion, I really don't think it needs any reworks. The one thing that could be cool for this aura is the ability, but other than that, I think it's fine how it is. Now the next global I have is Impeach, and a lot of people on Discord are telling me that this aura needs a rework badly, but in my opinion, I really don't think it does. There's been quite a few whitelisted reworks for this aura, but the current version just perfectly fits Soul style, and I really don't think it needs to change. The VFX for the ability are also like incredibly good compared to some of the other ones in the game. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for Impeached. Now the next ore I have is Bloodlust, which most of my old viewers will know this is my first global ever. My biggest complaint with Bloodlust is the fact that it literally has no ability, so it kind of just makes it super anticlimactic after you get it. But other than that, I do think visually it's pretty decent, like there's nothing really to complain about. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about Bloodlust, so 7 out of 10. Now up next is my most recent global and my favorite aura of all time. Now pressing the ability button allows you to switch between 3 different modes, and shifter makes you move incredibly fast. Now before the merchant teleporter came out, this aura used to be insanely overpowered for hunting merchants, but now it's just kind of for looks. But like I said, my favorite aura of all time, easily a 10 out of 10, no questions asked. Now the final global in my collection is the one that most people know me by, and that is Sovereign. I have absolutely no clue how I managed to pull this. I got it overnight and I woke up and was just completely shocked. I'm pretty disappointed with this aura only because it doesn't have an ability for as rare as it is. Realistically speaking, I'd have to give this like a 5 or a 6 because it's just not all that. For everyone wondering, this is what my inventory currently looks like after 9.1 million rolls in almost 100 days of playtime. Now there's some auras in my inventory that I didn't talk about in the video just because it would have been too long, but this is what the inventory currently looks like. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. I'm going to be dropping a new macro for the Era 9 map as soon as the update drops, so stay tuned for that. And also make sure you're in the Discord so you don't miss out on these big giveaways. Peace, guys.
Find the tools you need in the cloud. With an Azure free account,
Booking your summer 2025 holiday early with a £0 deposit and free kids places feels like. Get excited about taking that.
Oh, hello! I'm glad I caught ya. Wait! Don't tell me! You want me to run down to the Robert IDK channel and watch old Haminations videos, and then you want me to run back here and say, Robert, this is the best video of all time! Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do. Today, we are back at one of my favorite places on the internet, Bryson's channel, because our good pal Bryson has some old videos. Old videos when he was a wee little lad. I mean, not the weeest of lads, like he was like 16 at the time, but Hamination's old videos are a special moment in internet history. His animation was not good. His voice was that of a 10-year-old, but his storytelling. Was unmatched. These videos are so much fun to watch, and we are going to go through these and dissect them today. With such classics as flies, science, sports, I don't like them, sleep, my imagination part 2, and many more. We've checked out Hamination's old videos before, and if you haven't seen that, you need to check it out after this one. You're good here for now. Chill here for now. But let's